Before we start, I would like to define some terms. What is feed formulation? Feed formulation is the process of quantifying the amount of feed ingredients that needs to be combined to form a single uniform mix that supplies all of their nutrient requirements. When we're talking about feed formulation, when we say quantifying the amount of feed ingredients, that means not the single ingredient. We have classes of vitamins. When we quantify, when we bring everything, that makes it please ruminant behavior and impacts on nutrition management. Next slide. From originally ruminating prey animals. Rumination and the fermentation which take place in the low quality human food byproducts into high quality food, that is to the milk and the meat. Let me try and explain this. We all know that ruminants are social animals and they always graze. After grazing, they will lie down and ruminate together. This behavior is still present in the ruminants today. Ruminants also eat and drink to confirm the relationship and dominance in the herd. That is, when we have a herd, we have different animals with different age. So they fight and compete to feed, and it's still happening now. Dominant cow make it clear that they are boss, and cows low in their hierarchy indicate that they know their place at eating and drinking places. It is therefore essential to know that the main difference between the ruminant and the monogastric animal is that their stomach. Ruminants have 4 chambers, while the monogastric only have simple stomach. And the difference between the ruminants and the monogastric animal is that they can ferment. Also, they can ferment in their microbes. They have their own microbes in the rumen, which makes them to utilize forages and roughages more better than the monogastric animal. We talk about discuss about the digestive system of the ruminant animal. There are 4 distinct compartments in the stomach. That is, they swallow, they chew, they regurgitate, and they also swallow it back. Now, digestion means because after they chew the forages and the grasses, the digestion starts from their mouth, and the digestion means the breaking down different. Hello. Are you with me?
Yes, go ahead. I will mute them.
Okay. The process of digestion in non-ruminant as well as in ruminant take place under the influence of enzymes. Enzymes are substances which stimulate or facilitate certain chemical processes. The abomasum is comparable to the stomach of non-ruminants. The other stomach are so-called forestomach. They are specific for the ruminants. Now, let's talk about the rumen. Inside the rumen wall is lined with papillae, small finger-like projection directly to the bloodstream. You see, when we film Lucena leucocephala, panicum maximum, the forage will pass through the esophagus, then move down to the rumen. And inside this rumen, there are some microbes that helps to digest, that helps this animal to utilize this forage and break them down into smaller particles, which will now move to the bloodstream. The number and size of these rumen papillae of cows not receiving concentrate are therefore less. So after this has been broken down into smaller particles, the cow now spend up to 8 to 10 hours per day ruminating. That is, they will try and be chewing their cord. The rumination cycle consists of four functions. The first one is that regurgitation occurs when an area around the esophagus is stimulated with coarse material. A handful of coarse material is regurgitated mouth through the reverse peristalsis movements. The third phase is resalivation. Then, in the first slide, I said feed formulation is a process whereby we combine different ingredients together to form a single uniform mixture. That means all these ingredients, some are what are carbohydrates, some are protein. They are protein, some are proteinous in nature, and the breaking down of this part of carbohydrate is into three. The acetic acid, when it is being broken down in the rumen, it releases three acids. We have the acetic, propionic acid, and butyric acid. The acetic, the propionic is for the volatile fatty acid. Now, that is all about the digestion, because I'm not here to talk about the digestion, but we just need to talk about it. Then let's to the next slide. We have the comparative feeding behavior and digestive physiology. Comparative feeding behavior and digestive physiology in goats and sheep. Hello, next slide, sir. If you check the comparative feeding behavior and the digestive
Mr. Yobami, I'm not sure we can hear you very well. Please, if you can hear us, I would prefer if you can get to a place where there
physiology
is
in
better
goats
network.
and sheep.
Thank
Let's
you.
compare. Most people usually think that, okay, diet. Hello, goat requires goat requires sorry goat requires 6% of their body weight, of the total body weight. Why the sheep requires just 3% of the body weight, especially during lactation. Well, during the dry matter, during the growing phase, they require just 3% of the body weight. That is the amount of feed that is being required by the animal. That means when you weigh the animal and they are weighing 30 kg, you will do a small conversion. That is 3%, 3/100 multiplied by 30. That's 0.03 multiplied by 3. That's the amount of feed that is being required by the animal in dry matter per day. That means if you are having up to like 6 animals, that means you are going to multiply and they have the same weight. Multiply by the total number of animals. Now, the nutrient needed by the animal, we have the carbohydrates, we have the protein, we have the fats, water also. These are all some feed ingredients that can the animal to supply all these nutrients. For example, protein. For example of maize, we have the sorghum, we have the millet. Hello. So BB waste also have some energy, but is not as high as maize. So maize is a typical example of carbohydrates. We also have the protein sources such as soybean meal, GNC, fish meal. They are also protein source. We have the vitamin, we have the fats, we have the minerals. Also, we have the water. Next slide, please. Now, the feed classification of ruminant is being classified into three. The first one is roughages. The second is the concentrate, while the third one is the supplement. Next slide, sir. Now, roughages are feed ingredients that are very high in fiber, and they have low they are low in digestible nutrients. That means it's not all the nutrients present in the roughages are utilized by the animal. They have low total digestible nitrogen. They also have high crude fiber. The fiber content to classify any ingredient as roughages, they must have high amount of fiber content, which means they must have about 30%. An example of these roughages are one, grass, legumes, straw, stover. Most people will be thinking, why did ruminant animal need these roughages? Is that if roughages is not present, acidosis, we cannot feed ruminant animal with only concentrate like broiler, like layers that doesn't need forages. So they need a lot of forage in their very important for maintaining the body. They also need this in the rumen. Next slide. We have the next slide, sir. We have the concentrate. What do we mean by concentrate? Concentrate are feedstuffs that are easily digested in the rumen. They have high energy and protein values compared with roughages. They usually have a low crude fiber content and comprise of very small particles. Example of concentrate that we have the energy-rich concentrate, we have the grains, we have the root crops, we have the leftover bread, we have the sugar byproducts, which is molasses, we have the beer industrial byproduct, which is BDG. And I think everybody also know the BDG. We have the protein-rich concentrate, we have the industrial byproducts, we have the oil seed cakes, and the processing of oil, like the cotton seed cake, the GNC, the soya bean meal, they are all example of what of protein concentrates. Next slide, sir. Next slide. Supplements. When we are talking about supplements is like adding salt, Maggi, and all this time into the food. They are supplements. They are just extra that supply in the body with additional nutrients. It is not compulsory to add supplement. It's very necessary because they need this thing. They need all these micro ingredients. It's also form the part of their ingredients, because let's assume that a feed that lacks salt now. Salt is also a supplement. It's not part of the feed. It's just a supplement. Calcium, phosphorus are also supplements. So, but it is very, very essential and critical when we are dealing with ruminant feed formulation. It is very essential to add this supplement to their diet. Next slide, sir. Next slide. Why do we need concentrate in the feed, in the ruminant feed? I said before that ruminant animal don't even need they don't need much nutrients, but it is very, very essential and critical to add this concentrate because the forages, the legumes, the tree crops cannot give all the nutrient that is being required by the animal. Like now, for example, we do and they cannot give us all the nutrient that is being like fish to our diet, just to balance important to supplement. You can give them only forages. But like next slide. The first thing now, straight to the topic. What are the factors to say that before you can formulate for animal? Please, I need us to take pen and calculator because we're going to calculate. There's no how we want to formulate without pen or calculator. Now, in formulating for ruminant animal, the first factor to consider, and these are the necessary steps. There is no how you want to formulate for ruminant animal. Please quote me, for ruminant animal, not chicken, not turkey, not duck, not guinea fowl. We are talking about the ruminant animal. We need this nice step to formulate, that is a nutrient requirement of the nutrient requirement. You have to consider some basic things. The first one is the age of the animal. You can't form. We all know that that the IFA cannot eat what the lactating animal will be eating. Number one, energy nutrient content will also be different. Hello, hello,
Yeah,
hello.
muted them. You can just go ahead, please.
All right, sir. Now, the establishing the nutrient requirement of the animal. Now, the level of production. When we are talking about the level of production, are they under the growing phase or in the lactating phase, or they are still small? So we need to know before you will establish the nutrient requirement of the animal. Also, the breed also affect the nutrient of the. Are they in gestation, early, middle, or late in gestation? Also, are they lactating? Also, this also determines the nutrient requirement of the animal. The pasture activity, the feed addictive, the environment also affect the nutrient requirements of the animal. That is why you cannot collect formula from US and you want to be using it here in Nigeria. The environment is different. Also, the ingredient is also different here. They have alfalfa, they have all those cover crops over there. But here in Nigeria, we have some specific plants here. So it is different. It is totally different. Also, the season also affects the nutrient requirement of the animal. So when we are talking about then you now need to identify the forage type consumed by the animal, the feed ingredients available in the environment. In my own environment now, we have panicum, mostly panicum in my own environment. But in your own environment, bacteria may be available in your environment. So you need to know the type of forage present in your own environment. Now, the nutrient composition of the available feed ingredients. What type of nutrients is available? What is the percentage composition of the CP available in your environment? The type of, you already know that grass, what's it called? Panicum is available in your area. You know that the lucerne is also available in your area. But what are the nutrient composition inside them? How many percent of CP? How many percent of carbohydrate is inside, how many percent of calcium is inside, how many percent of phosphorus is inside, how many percent of total digestible nutrients is inside. So you need to establish, you need to write them down. Okay, I have panicum. Panicum have 30% of dry matter. The percentage of the CP is 28. You need to establish all these things. If it is andropogon gaianos, the CP inside the andropogon gaianos is 6.5%. You need to specify, you need to know, you will write them down. Then after writing them down, you now you will check that one too. The chemical is the amount of the CPD feed for the man. Now, you already establish the nutrients of the animal. Okay, the animal needs 1% of protein in a day. And you are supplying the animal through the forage, through the panicum, 6%. Let me say 0.56. You know, that means we are having a 0.44 deficit now. So how will you balance it? That's when this thing comes in, the concentrate. You will balance through addition of the concentrates. Now, you have to balance for the energy requirements. You balance for the other protein, the CP, the crude fiber, the vitamin, and the minerals, because the calcium and phosphorus is also very important. Then you now blend the mixture. Let's move to the example so that it will be very clear, because all these ones are just book. Let's move to the example. Doctor, please, next slide. Nutrients. Next slide. I've talked about this. This is the daily nutrient requirement of goats. If you check this table very well, you will see the maintenance only. You can zoom it. Now, if you check the maintenance, if you check the body weight, when goats, they have the requirements. If you check the total TDN, you will see that 159 for when they are in 10 kg is different. If you check the crude protein, that's total protein, TP, that is what you will check. You won't check the DP, you will not check that one. But you check the TBP, the total protein, that's TP. You see that when they are weighing 10 kg, the total protein that is being required at that age is 22. At 20 kg, the total thing, at 10%, it is different. And also, if you check the maintenance plus low activity, that means if you have goats and they are not, and that means you will add additional nutrients to them. At 10 kg, the total protein that we add is 27, though they already have their maintenance up. So you will add, you continue adding. Let's move to the next slide, sir. Now it continues, is also the nutrient requirements. I can send the PDF when we are done. The PDF of the nutrient requirement of ruminants. Next slide. Next slide. It also continue. Then check something. The percentage fats. Doctor, please, I want to show something. If you check the percentage fats, that means if the goat is producing, let's say 6 kg of milk, we need to consider the percentage of the fat, not the quantity of milk produced. It's the fat percentage that is very, very important. The basis for milk quality evaluation is the butter fat content or the fat to protein ratio, not the quantity of the fat being produced. We check the fats. If your animal is producing like 50 kg of fat, 50 kg of milk and having 2.5 of the butter fats, that means there is an additional requirement, additional nutrient required by that animal, not because of the quantity, but because of the fat content. Next slide, sir. Next slide. This is the nutrient requirement for daily nutrient requirement of lactating dairy cattle. Now, their maintenance, they need to maintain their own body. Then maintenance and pregnancy, that means at the last 2 months of gestation period, they still need additional nutrients. So, and if you check down, you see the milk production, that means the percentage fat. As I've said earlier, we check the amount of the butter fats inside the milk, not the quantity being produced. Next slide, sir. Now, let's assume that we visited a farm, a dairy farm that have Ostefrisia cattle. Used essentially, Ostefrisia breed, they are mainly used for milk cattle, and they are weighing 405 kg. 405 kg lactating cow in the first lactation, and they produce 15 kg milk daily with 2.5% butter fat. And consuming forage with the following grain. You can also, let's do small calculation here. If you can get it now, that's fine. And if not, we also send a PDF to you so that you can go over it and then you get how to calculate. Now, there are some key points here that we need to write out. The first is the weight of the animal. The weight of the animal, which is 405 kg. The second one is the percent of the butter fat, which is 2.5. The quantity of the milk produced, which is 15 kg. Also, the lactating, which section of is it the second lactating period or the first lactating period or the third lactating section? Now they said lactating cow in the first lactation. So they will still need more nutrients. So that is the first one. So we need to write this out. Maintenance requirement of a 405 kg weight lactating cow goes thus. A 405 lactating cow falls within a range that is slightly higher than the 400 kg body weight. Because if you check the nutrient requirements of dairy cattle, sir, please, you can go there so that we check, sir. If you check the nutrient requirement of the dairy cattle, there is no 405. We only have 400. We have 450. Okay, the next 2 minutes. Okay, maybe we should just run this off. Then after the break, we'll come back. Yes, so that we solve the question. The maintenance requirement of a 405 kg body weight lactating cow. Now, if you check the nutrient requirement table, there is no 405, there is no 406, there is no 407. We only have 350, 400, 450. And we are having 405. 405 is more closer to 400, more than 450. That means we're going for 400. But if it is 445 kg, that means we go for 450 kg, not 400 kg. Then we now go and check the nutrient required by that particular animal, having that particular weight, that is 400 kg. The requirement for the 400 kg, if you check the table, Doctor, please, can we go to slide 18 so that they will see it? Slide 18, sir. No, back. Yeah, another slide 18. Not this. No. Yes. If you check, no. Go for it, sir. That 16, 17. No. One more, sir. Another one, sir. We're going to that dairy requirement, not this one. It's okay, sir. If you check the requirement for, if you check the daily nutrient requirement of the lactating dairy cattle, if you check that 400, that is the maintenance of mature lactating cow. If you check the 400 kg when they are weighing 400 kg now, if you check the nutrient requirement per day in a day.
Yeah, sorry,
For a
Mr.
400.
Abundary. We have to take the break now. So we will reconverge in the next 5 minutes, and then you can provide the solution to us by that time.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, the question. You can start.
All right.
I'll try to move.
Hello.
Okay, so you can go ahead, please.
All right, sir. All right, sir.
So should I stay here, or I should go to the slide you asked me to go to?
No, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry, sir. Don't worry, sir. So that everything will be very fast. It's not like that. So it's more of calculation. So we need to be very fast. Time is already going, sir. Yeah. So if you check the table, the CP required by that animal that is weighing 400 kg body weight is 551 grams, but we need to convert it to kg, which means it's 0.521 kg. If you check the net energy also, which is 7.6. If you check the calcium, it requires 7 grams, 17 grams. The phosphorus also
Mr. Bowden, are you there? We are finding it difficult to hear you.
It may be very emotional. I'm an actor myself, so it's been over a year since I stayed.
if you check hello. Next
You are welcome back. Sorry, we didn't hear you very
slide.
well. So,
Next slide.
all right.
Next slide. Next slide. Okay, all right, sir, that's fine. Now, in the question, they said the first lactation. When they said the first lactation, you will add 10%, 20 maintenance requirement. That means the first, in the first one, which is previous slide, sir. Hello, doctor. Okay, sir. That's the CP. The requirement for 400 body weight is 521 grams. So for the maintenance, for the 20% requirement, because they're in the first lactation, and in that first lactation, it is being required that we should add additional 20% of the maintenance requirement. The maintenance requirement is 521. So the additional requirement is 20% of that 521. So that is how 0.1042 kg was got. Please, next slide, sir. Now the net energy, you will do the same to calculate for all the nutrients. Then you move to the production requirement of the lactating cow. The lactating cow produces 15 kg milk with 2.5% of butter fats. That means 15 kg multiplied for each percentage of the butter fat inside the meat. If you check that table, the previous table under the dairy nutrient requirement per day, if you check the table, for any additional 2.5% of the butter fat inside their milk, it is the crude protein content, the additional crude protein content that is being required is 66 grams. So 66 grams per kg, and we're having 15 kg of milk. That means we will multiply 66 multiplied by 15 kg of that milk. It will give us 990 grams for the net energy, for the calcium and the phosphorus also. Next slide, sir. So for the table, the nutrient requirements table, now you will add everything for the maintenance, for the growth, and for the production. Production is the milk being produced. The growth is the stage, while the maintenance is for the general body maintenance, but because they have to eat and to meet up their own daily requirements, that's for the maintenance. As for the growth, we need to add for them also. And for the production, that means the percentage of the butter fat inside that milk. Next slide, sir. Next slide. The nutrient intake by the animal for the forage, the CP inside the forage is 0.27. For the browse is 1 CP, is 1 kg. So if you add everything, is 1.27 for the net energy, for the calcium, and for the phosphorus. So that means the nutrient requirements minus nutrient intake. The nutrient that is being required by the animal is 1.61. The nutrient intake is 1.27, while the net energy that is being required by the animal is 17.97. The nutrient intake is 9.80. If you check it, if you subtract it, then there is still a deficit. That means it is deficient. There is still a deficit of crude protein, of net energy, but there's surplus of calcium and there's surplus in phosphorus. There's no need to add calcium and phosphorus. That is, the bone meal and the phosphorus and the limestone is balanced. But for the CP, we need additional concentrates to be supplemented to the feed so that it will meet up the nutrient required. Next slide, sir. Now, this is where we will use the Pearson square. That is, the calculation of the quantity concentrate to be formulated that is the energy density, it is constant. The net energy, the nutrient intake when the nutrient required, it is 8.17. Then you now divide the 8.17, we divide it by 1.6 to give us 5.11 kg. The target CP is 0.5345 multiplied by 100 to give us 6.76. The 6.76 will be inside the Pearson square. Then you now decide which type of ingredient did I want to use. Is it cassava grit? Is it maize? Is it sorghum? You will decide that one. Then you also think about the protein source that you want to use. Is it GNC? Is it soybean meal? Is it fish meal that you want to use? You decide that one. Then you now do the Pearson square to get the percentage that will be included in the diet of the animal to make the diet balanced. Next slide. That means we use cassava grit. If you check the Pearson square, we can't be explaining all those things. It's just a few minutes. So if you check the Pearson square, the cassava grit and the GNC, that's what we use to balance the nutrient which is being required by the animal. So The cassava grit will be 4.89 kg. You weigh the 4.89 kg, then DS is 0.22 kg. When you mix it together and supplement it with that forage and the browse plant, give it to the animal, that means they already meet up the daily required. The daily nutrient required by the animal is already been met. So that is okay for them for that day. Next slide. Now, let's talk about the water and the dry matter requirement of sheep and goats. Water requirement increases during the growth, gestation, lactation, and heat stress when salt content of diet is more. Sheep will drink 2 to 3 liters per kg dry feed consumed. Dry matter sheep consume 2.5 to 3% dry matter of their live weight. However, for a satisfactory lambs require dry matter of 3 to dm their live weight. Lactating goats consume to 6% dry matter of their live weight. Next slide. Next slide, sir. Now, water requirement of a dairy cattle. Water requirement, back, sir. Water requirement of a dairy cattle. Water requirements of a dairy cattle. A calf requires 5 to 15%, 5 to 15 liters per day. Young stock require 15 to 35 liters per day, while dry cow requires 40 to 80 liters per day. Lactating cows up to 10 kg of milk requires 30 to 60 liters per day. Up to 20 kg milk requires 70 to 100 liters per day. Up to 30 kg milk requires 90 to 50 liters per day. Next slide, sir. Dry matter requirement of cattle. Dairy cattle must able to consume up to 4% of their live weight as dry matter each day. E.g., if a cow weighs 400 kg, the estimated feed intake in a day is 4% of the body weight. That means they will consume 4 over 100 multiplied by 100, which means they will have to eat 60 kg dry matter. That is the amount of feed that you will give them in a day is 16 kg of that dry matter. Then out of the 16 kg, 70% will be for the forage, while 30% will be for the forage. It will be for the concentrate. That means 70 by 30%. 70 for the forage, 30 for the concentrate. Mature cows require 3.5 to 4% body weight, but dry matter intake lower during the dry period, less than 2% of the body weight, period to 2 to 3 weeks, weeks of gestation. That means they require 4% of their body weight. But during the dry, what's it called, hot season, dry period, sorry, it's not hot season, the dry period, when the milk is not being produced, that's dry period. When they are preparing for another lactating period, that's dry period. So you will reduce the quantity of the dry matter intake to 2% of their body weight. Instead of that 4%, the dairy cow requires 4% of their life weight. That means if they are weighing 400 kg, they will require 16 kg dry matter intake. That is the amount. It's not total amount of feed, but it is the dry matter intake. Because there is difference between the wet feed being given to the animal and the dry matter of the animal. That's for another day. Next slide, sir. We have the protein requirement of dairy cow. The protein requirement of a dairy cow is between 15 to 14% CP and 18% CP at early lactation. The mid lactation is between the 14 to 16%. The late lactation requires 12% to 14%, to 12%. Dairy cow producing milk also requires more than that, but it requires about 12%. Okay, dairy cow producing 12 liters of milk needs more protein feed with 60% women degradable protein and 40% of women non-degradable protein. So next slide, sir. And this comes to the end of the lecture. I have some formulated diet which is present on my own system, but I was unable to share. I would have shown you some formula that we can use for our ruminants and cattle, and also the software that can be used without stressing yourself going up and down to calculate. You can just use a calculator, an Excel format that is being designed by one university in Texas, and also we have University of Georgia. They also have one software that they also developed, and there is also local one that we also produce here. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Boderi. I really appreciate this, and I think, well, since you have those things that can still help us, I think we can just schedule a time when we can still uh, continue with this training. Definitely, we cannot finish everything in a day. So probably we have to schedule another time. I will discuss with you and see how we can go about it, and then we'll be able to present. Thank you very much once again. And I think there are some people that may have one or two questions. We don't have so much time, but we want to allow some questions. So please, if you have one or two questions, the floor is open. You can just raise your hand. I think I can see one hand raised already. You can just raise your hand, and we are going to give you opportunity to ask your question. Okay, Mr. Jumwerin, please, you can go ahead. Ask your question, please.
Okay. Thanks for the opportunity. I really like to appreciate the facilitator for the training. But like he said he was going to share some one or two material. And in your own remark, you said the process is actually in continuum. So it's obvious that the material, I just want to reinforce that he has to share the material so that we will get to look at one or two things and then to anchor them. That's actually my request. It's actually a request.
Okay, so you are talking about the material,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So, like I said, just follow us on our social media platform. We definitely bring him back. So this, like, let me say, this is like an introduction. So we bring him back so that he can be more comprehensive, and then be able to also give us some of the material. And probably I may discuss with him if he is willing to give the material out without before the training. I will let you know. But if he wants to train before giving out the material, I will get you updated. Thank you very much for the question. So, Kehinde, yeah. So please, you can go ahead and ask your question. Okay, I think one Mr. Tosin also is raising hand. Please, you can ask your question. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead. Ask your question.
Okay.
Sorry, I think you are muted. Can you unmute so that you can ask your question, please?
Hello?
Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
hear me
you are
now?
on now. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. I must commend the trainer. He did justice to the training, and looking forward to training materials and the other formulation stuff. The calculation is going to send to us later on. I would suggest that we can also make use of the WhatsApp for training. Because with the Zoom, a few times we've done training, it's either cracking or going off and all that. Maybe you should consider the WhatsApp training as well. And And if we can repeat this training again, it will really be fantastic. Thank you.
All right. All right. Yeah, actually, let me quickly just answer that. We also do WhatsApp training, but because he wanted it to show us some of these slides and all. That is the reason why he advised that we should put using Zoom. But like you said, we can have a second phase of this training probably next month because this was actually filmed with different training that has already been organized. So I will discuss with him if he has a time that he can give us the second phase of the training next month. We will communicate it on the WhatsApp. Thank you very much. We have noted.
But the training, you can also share the slides on WhatsApp too. It's possible because I've done several trainings when they shared all the materials too. There are ways you can go about that as well.
Yes, like I said, we usually do
all right.
that.
Thank you, sir.
And we will consider it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. So, one to sing, sorry, I don't
Hello? Hello?
Please, you can ask your question now.
Hello, doctor.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Before the next class, I will send an Excel formulator to you, sir.
All right.
So that anybody.
Oh, thanks for that kind gesture. So I think if you want to ask question about so he is going to share it and then you'll be able to have access to it.
So you just call. They have to call you and they send their email to you. So I will forward it to you, sir. Anybody that needs the formulator.
All right. I think that's fine. Thank you very much. So somebody else want to ask question, please.
Let the ingredients and you should just bring all the percentage of the nutrients required by the animal and the amount of body.
All right.
The concentrate that you need to use in time to eat. But I will forward it to you, sir.
Thank you for that. We really appreciate it.
All right, sir.
Aurora Meru Tosin, please, can you ask your question?
Yes. Yes. My question is about.
Please, can you make it louder and clearer? Thank you.
I said my question is about formulation.
Formulation, okay.
Yes, for cattle for fattening.
Cattle for fattening.
It's quite difficult. Yes.
Okay.
It's quite difficult to get grasses and some of the materials.
Yeah, it's not too clear, but I think I can pick the fact that you are asking about formulation for cattle fattening. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, Mr. Bodari, over to you.
For the formulation for the fattening, inside that PD, inside the Excel sheet that I will send to you, we also share some formula because the sheet is not only that sheet there. I also share some formula that can be used for the fattening, either for the goat, for the ram, or for the for cattle. But I'm still saying in the niche and how to use the formulator. Everything will be inside that sheet. There'll be a different sheet for the goats, for the cattle, and also for that in the fattening process. It takes a whole day. So thank you.
Okay, so Ismail, please you can ask your question. Ismail.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry, my connection was not okay tonight, so I want to ask you if you can tell me an app or application that I can use for feed formulation, especially for poultry.
Hello,
Feed formulation for
poultry.
poultry.
Yeah, Abyss, yeah, Abyss.
Okay.
Rather
For
than using these Excel or calculations.
rather than what?
Yeah, instead of using this Excel calculation
Yes,
is
sir.
or this food formulation calculation is, can you just
Yeah.
say, tell me an application that I can use it easily?
You can use, there is one Excel formulator for the poultry that I just developed. You just insert your the protein the protein CP that you want to achieve. You insert the energy, the calcium, the phosphorus. Then you just press formulate. It will generate the amount of maize, the percentage of the maize, the soybean meal, and all the ingredients that are being required to meet up the targets. So there's an Excel that is already been developed. But there are also some application that you can also buy. But it is not advisable to buy those formulator because they are just designed for their own region, not for our own region. And the nutrients, the nutrient content of each ingredient is different because council have their own nutrient analysis. Our own we are using NIAS. So each region have their own nutrient content. It is different. So it is better to use the exact formulator here or the application that is being developed here within our own region.
So, Mr.
Thank you very
Abodari,
much.
will we
Thank
be
you.
able to still have access to that of poultry?
No, sir. That one is still on. I'm still developing that one. But that poultry, I can't guarantee because that one will take a lot of days to explain
Okay.
it.
Yeah, okay. So at least they will be able to get that of ruminant animals.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That
Okay,
one is
yeah.
easy.
So I think that's fine. The person that asked the question is actually asking from Somalia. So I
Yeah,
think we will try to. I will discuss with him once we can get something that you can actually adopt. We will let you know.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you
Like,
very much, Adebayo and the rest of the team.
Yeah, you're
I'm in
welcome.
Somalia, and it's my great pleasure
hello.
We are very happy that you were
to
able
be
to
with
join
you
us.
guys.
Thank you so much.
If you have the nutrients,
Thank you very much, guys.
hello, Ismail. Hello, are you with me? If you have the
Yeah, bro.
if you have the nutrient table in your own region, you can send it. Then I will help you to use. I will develop a formulator for you that you can use for your animal in your own region. Just send me the nutrient composition table. Then I will use it to
Yeah,
develop
thank you.
stuff for you. That will
Yeah,
be
I
very,
think
very easy.
that's a good alternative.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
So
good alternative, really. And
yeah,
we thanks for your service and sacrifice and kindness.
yeah. Thank you, Doctor. We really appreciate that you're able to join from Somalia. If there is any other question, you can still raise
Yeah.
your hands. But if there is none, I think it's time for us to call it a wrap and appreciate our facilitator. Like I said, we may still be bringing you uh, the second part of this. Well, he had already told me that just a training may not be able to do justice to ruminant because ruminant is broad and we have so many aspects and factors to consider. So let's see how it will go next month, probably early next month. We will be bringing you the second part of this training. If Mr. Bordering will be available, we'll let you know and we'll communicate. So please follow us on our social media platforms and so that you can be updated on the coming training and the facilitator that will also bring in. On behalf of the FMEX team, we want to say thank you for all our participants and special gratitude to Mr. Bordering for his benevolence and he got the knowledge with money, but he's giving us free of charge, and we are supposed to appreciate his time and his expertise for this. Thank you so much, Mr. Aboderi, for this great opportunity. So
Yes, sir.
next week is going to be another training. Let's keep in touch, and I will see you next week. Thank you very
All right, sir.
much, and have a wonderful night rest.
Thanks so much.
Bye for now.